Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos, welcome. Welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness. I just want to go into a little bit of flow and see what the guides want to bring through. This is meant to be felt, not necessarily understood on a linear basis. So as we go into this space, as we open to what this space holds, we feel into the spaciousness of it all. We begin to open to all forms of communication that we have access to, and then we offer this interpretation based on our own experiences, based on what it is that we have seen, been, expressed, and so on and so forth. And we are invited in this now moment to allow ourselves to reunify with all aspects of ourselves. We are much more than we give ourselves credit for. For many of us feel that we lack in experience, and we lack in education, or we lack in abundance. And we would sit here in this moment, in this now moment, and invite you to feel into this now moment and recognize that is not the truth at the core of who it is that we really are, for we are all connected at the core, at the heart, in reality, to something much deeper than our human idea of what we think we are. And so therefore, we may never really know from a human perspective how much it is that we add to the collective, how much it is that we have the power to co-create together and collaborate in this waveform of frequency and energy. And so in these transmissions and in many other transmissions that these higher collectives offer, whether they be angelics or galactics or future versions of ourselves that are merely held within higher dimensional access points, whether they are the elementals or the beings that are held within particular collectives of frequency and energy that hold no form, yet offer pure love and light particle exchange. For we are connected to all of those things through all of those versions of the fractal that we are all connected through and to. Now is such an important time for us to step out of our own way, to step out of our own old shoes, one might say. We are being called to move out of this time-based currency that many people have been stuck in. The idea that the value that we give to a particular thing or concept is more important than what the value truly is. And this is a play on words. I gotta slow it down a little bit. I've got a lot of energy coming in. Meaning, the values that we give something hold value. They stick. It is our belief that gives something value. And yet, we would play with this a little bit more and also recognize that the value or the mathematical composition or the source is more than what we believe it is at times. And yet this is all intrinsically interwoven in this wordplay. So we are being called to really feel how important our attention is. We are being called to feel that what it is that we're giving our attention to. For when we offer our energy, when we offer giving something value, we are giving something value. And so why not look within and give ourselves the value or the opportunity to value ourselves in a much higher capacity? For we have a much higher capacity for growth and power than many of us really value. Shuye akune wa shi kuai boku wa kini yo shu kuni wa ap ukuni wa shi shikini. Many people are hesitant to let go of certain connections because they have valued them for so long, or perhaps because those connections, whether they be people, places, things, or memories, whatever it might be, people feel like they give them value. Or that person might say to them, hey, I really like you. Therefore, we can't let them go because they really like us. That gives us value. Yet, is that really important? We are being called to look within and ask ourselves what makes us shine, and recognize that the shine comes from within. We are being invited to allow ourselves to peel back the layers that we have been encapsulated within, that we have covered ourselves up with, to try to give ourselves more importance, and recognize that what's really important is what's deep inside, at the heart, in the heart, as the heart of the true expression of love and light. And the more we can come to this realization, the more we begin to realize that we are coming to this realization, for it is already within us. These are difficult times for many, and the difficulties are many, yet there are few and far in between that cannot rise above what is being shown and coming up in between. For those of us that are reading in between the lines, we are beginning to recognize that we are the ones holding the line. We are holding the lines, and I'm seeing like safety lines and lines of communication and the lifeline for those who feel lost in the shuffle. Yet we must also hold our own life in alignment with what it is that we value most, from our true heart alignment. And so if that person, place, or thing does not constructively align us with what brings us joy, then that is not something we necessarily need to continually give our energy to. For we are not really taking away from anyone but ourselves when we give our attention and energy to something that is not deeply intrinsic with knowing thyself. It is not selfish to do what we need to in order to co-create, to convey, and in order to be in a place of measured bliss. And this is a play on words, for measurement is value, and bliss can be measured. And we bring this back to certain measurements, such as musical measurements and value systems, keys and quantity. We bring ourselves into the space of symbology and the measurements of sound. For the bliss that we make when we are in a state of love, of compassion, of joy, of play is truly magnificent and is truly what brings us to our maximum potential. And I'm being called to play with this, our maximum view. For when we are in our place of bliss or harmonious exchange with the universe, with each other, with our bodies, this is a quantum entanglement after all. It allows us to work at a quantum scale, a rhythmic exchange in wave form. It allows us to exchange with the waveforms and the spins and the toroidal field in a measurable way that is a harmonious exchange that creates a higher, I'm hearing music, sound. This allows us to stabilize the lifeline. It allows us to stabilize the life, this life, and this lifetime, or play with this a bit. This allows us to stabilize time and how we operate within it in this lifetime. In this particular life and how we live, it allows us to line up with more life. Being, and I'm hearing just being more alive. By being more alive and less, I'm just seeing giving our energy away or our power away to things that do not necessarily bring us the most joy. We are being called to direct our attention now to that particular subject or that particular topic. For within that particular subject, there are those that would subject themselves to I'm seeing when somebody hits themselves, I can't remember what that's called, but essentially we are saying, well, that's selfish because I can't stop talking to this friend. They need me or I need them. And the question we're being called to ask ourselves, is that really true? And when we ask ourselves these questions, we may recognize that it's not really true. It's only a story that we thought was true, or it was true at one particular part of our story, but we've started a new chapter, or recognizing even more than that, that we are not necessarily breaking ties with them. Instead, we are tying ourselves into our true unification, or tying ourselves into our true knot, K-N-O-T. I'm seeing a slip, like it's a vibration. So we're not tethering ourselves up to, and this doesn't have to be seen as selfish, by the way. So I'm really being called to play with this for a moment. We feel as humans obligated at times to connect with things, people, places, events that are not necessarily something that is relevant for our now moment. We have been taught that we are our past, that we are our disease, that we are our genetics, that we are who we surround ourselves with. And from one perspective, all of that is true. Yet if we go deeper into what we truly are, all of those things are a direct reflection of what it is that we value. And there are some people and places and things and experiences and stories in our lives that are particularly old patterns that are no longer in alignment with giving us life support, or we no longer need to support these things in order to feel more vibrant in this life. And that's okay. For we are not obligated in the way that we think we are to continually backtrack and continually to play back the tracks that keep us in a loop. For our old records are being turned over. We are turning over a new leaf, one might say. We are adding a new leaf in the table. And so we may find ourselves turning the tables, and perhaps farther down the lifeline, we come back into an opportunity to reconnect with old friends that perhaps in that future connection have established their lifeline and joy in life in such a way that we meet up, we match, our frequency matches. And so we are not responsible to hang on to those that wish to hang on to a lower harmonic frequency. I'm hearing rat race, essentially. For many of us have stepped out of the maze, the labyrinth of whatever it may be that was holding our attention or what we valued. And as we step forward, those that were entangled in this particular story may see us stepping up, expanding out, and that may actually inspire them to take note. This is all a play on words. When we raise our frequency and we raise our harmonic and we choose to step into our bigger space, our bigger version of us, our higher vibration, doing what we love, being in a compassionate place, not what I'm hearing is enabling people around us, finding our voice. Those people that maybe we're choosing, it's not that we're choosing to just say, I'm done with you. The guidance team that I tune into is like, don't be rude about it. It just is what it is. We're being called to let go of feeling obligated to certain things. For obligatory is actually an energy. And if it's for the right reasons, that's different. But if it's for the wrong reasons, then that's continuing to co-create in that frequency. Does that make sense? I think you guys are following what I'm putting down. And so this allows us to create space and let go of what I referred to before, which was the space holder. It pops those bubbles, those toxic relationships, those toxic cords, it cuts them and allows us to not even maybe realizing that we were feeling overwhelmed with some of these old energies or energy vampires or, so on and so forth, but doing it in a very compassionate and patient and peaceful way. And we don't even have to say that we are doing it. We simply take compassionate action in all ways. And those that are hanging on will no longer feel, well, I'm just seeing that they're no longer going to hang on. A, because they can't. B, because they won't want to. Have you ever been, I'm hearing misery loves company. So birds of a feather, right? All of these terms. So this also is a play on words. I'm being called to play with birds of a feather. Whenever I say birds of a feather, I think of flight, I think of DNA. And essentially what I'm being shown is much of our DNA, especially those of us who are open and receptive, that doesn't even mean, you guys, sometimes it isn't even those that have done the work. It just happens to be it was in their contracts or their blueprint that they would have this happen at this time. those of us who are open to these shifts and changes will flock together. We will find our flock, essentially. And so too will those that maybe misery loves company. That might shift for them when we're no longer enabling them. And so apparently this is kind of a thing that I'm being called to talk about this so much. What I'm hearing is take off the Band-Aid. Like, it's time to just say, okay, I'm done, with this particular situation. It could be a job. It could be a television program. It could be a person. It could be a family member. And what I'm hearing is this doesn't have to be permanent. So it doesn't mean that this is permanent. Sometimes we grow apart from certain people, and then later on we reconnect with them, and that relationship is stronger than ever, right? So I'm hearing that there's people that are really afraid to do that because of the repercussions that they might get or the backlash that they might get. I'm hearing that there's a lot of people out there that are wanting to step it up and start speaking light language, or do tarot card readings, or maybe they're a decorator and they want to now go back to medical school, and their family might go, "What, are you crazy?" Whatever it is, it's time. This keeps coming through again and again and again. So I'm going to end on that note and see what else we want to say on that note. And so this is creating more notes in the field. We're creating a deeper language with ourselves. We're becoming more authentic in how it is that we communicate and express ourselves. And the more that we do this, the more we branch out, and the stronger lifelines or tree branches and roots we create. And we co-create this together. I bring this back now to the value system, for we are creating a whole new way of valuing one another and our interactions together. And so when we go into our heart stream and allow ourselves to be in flow or stream, we allow ourselves to go with the flow, we create these streams. I'm hearing strings of energy, of waves that then flush out the incongruencies or the, I'm hearing wasteful space holders. Again, this is the message that's been coming through. This allows us to band together and strengthen the numbers. And this has to do with value again. The geometries that create our reality. We are that. We are the key holders. We are the platonic solids nested in this body that is a vibrational frequency. And we each hold an individual key of creation to create what it is that brings us joy, that brings us a sense of wonder and awe. And it can be something simple, you guys. I'm being called to remind everybody, it doesn't mean that we are, it might just mean taking up a new hobby even. So now is the time. Okay, in love and light, guys. Namaste. I'm going to say namaste. I've given all of these trees big hugs on this adventure that I'm on right now. And I'm really being called to remind everybody to get out there and hug a tree, hug a fellow human, brother and sister. Connect with the earth in love and light.